Hi guys, welcome back. In this week's video, I'm going to be talking about Ezra's birth and what it was like having a baby during lockdown. So if you are watching this and you're due a baby in lockdown, or you know somebody who's due a baby in lockdown, I hope that this video may help you. I had quite a ton of stress leading up to his birth, just the whole corona thing and trying to keep safe and trying not to get the virus, and my husband trying not to get the virus so we could actually be present when he was born, was quite intense, and it lasted for a really long time. So I think we were at home for about 12 or 13 weeks, I think, or something like that before he was actually born. So yeah, it was a long time and we haven't really gone anywhere, but he's here now. And for those of you who don't know, we had our second newest arrival, which is our little son Ezra, who was born on the 4th of June. He was born via an elective C-section because of his size. He was due to be 40 pounds at 40 pounds. He was due to be 10 pounds at full term. And yes, they were correct, because he was actually born at 39 weeks plus 1 day, and he weighed in at 9 pounds 6.5. So they were correct. He would have gone to 10 pounds if we'd have gone at 240 weeks. We had to self-isolate for a week before our section date, and of course I had to have 2 COVID tests. Those were actually done at the hospital, so I did leave the house to go to the hospital twice. I had one on the Sunday, and then I had one on the Tuesday, and then I had him on the 4th of June. So I had 2 in the run up to having him, and both of those came back negative, which was amazing. But I knew that they were going to come back negative anyway, because I hadn't seen anybody, I hadn't gone anywhere in like all of our lockdown. So, and it was really good to know that we were all just safe still. One of my main concerns was Tom not being with me. When we had our first child, who is our daughter Aoife, who was 2, I had an emergency section, but I was actually put to sleep, so they gave me general, and your birthing partner is not allowed with you when you're put under. So unfortunately both of us were not present when Aoife was born. So having this baby and going like into delivery again was really scary for me. It gave me so much like worry that Tom wasn't going to be with me and that he was going to miss another birth. Like I said to Tom, like, neither of us can go through what we went through with Aoife again. It was so horrific, and I obviously wanted to be present to watch Ezra being born because I was asleep when Aoife was born. So it was really important for me, and of course it's really important for me that Tom was present with me, because I wanted us to experience that just like a normal person or a normal couple who are going to have a baby. So yeah, we really missed that with Aoife, and having this baby, we just wanted it so bad. And luckily he was allowed with me. Ezra was born at Leeds LGI hospital, and actually nothing really was much different than if corona hadn't been here. So I was really worried that only Tom could arrive at like a later time, but actually he was with me right from the very beginning. So we travelled to the hospital together, and we were asked to go to the hospital for 11 a.m, which was lovely because we could have a nice chilled morning. I got a nice shower and made Aoife breakfast, hung out with Aoife for a little bit, and then we set off to the hospital at about 20 past 10. So yeah, we got there at the hospital at 11, and we just chilled. They took on my blood pressure, my height, my weight, and just talked to me about the operation, and I'd signed some forms. But yeah, it was a really chilled experience. We had like this kind of open bay, so there was only 2 beds, and there was a couple opposite, and she went into the section room and had her baby, which was really nice. And I saw her go along the corridor, and it was their first baby. So yeah, that was really, really cool to see. And yeah, we just waited, and then I wasn't allowed to eat or drink anything from midnight the previous night. So Wednesday at midnight, wasn't allowed to drink or eat anything. So I was really hungry and I was extremely thirsty, but didn't have anything. And then we were taken down to theatre at about 2:10 in the afternoon, and it was just like kind of sprung on us, like we'd already had our gowns on. And then the midwife came in, she was like, "Oh, we're all ready for you." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, like, are we going? Like, is this it?" And it was so different to Aoife's birth. Like going through labour with Aoife's birth and then having all the doctors in the room and being rushed down to theatre and not having Tom there, versus this, like so chilled, just chilling out, just chatting, me chilling on a bed in the gown, and then Tom going to get his scrubs on, and then just literally walking down a corridor to go have my spinal. And it was nerve-wracking, don't get me wrong, like I've never had that before because I was put to sleep. And yeah, my experience with this section is a positive one, it is, but it was a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. So I had the spinal in this little room. So you go through some doors, there's a room, then there's another pair of doors, and that's where you have your baby delivered, which I didn't know. Every time I've seen someone have it on the telly, like they're always on the bed and then they just get like swiveled around and then they have the baby. So Tom was with me. I had my things put in here, which wasn't actually that painful. It just felt really uncomfortable, but I think that the nurses and the people who were doing it were amazing. Then I had my spinal put in, and actually before they gave me the spinal, they gave me some like numbing spray all over my back, and it was beyond cold. It was freezing, which is fine. But so I had my spinal, and it feels really strange. It feels like, you know, when you get like a numb leg, like you've been sat on it funny for a little bit. It's a little bit like that, and you can feel it kind of like moving and like tingling up your back. So yeah, had that done, and then had my catheter put in because of course after it I have no legs, I can't walk. So yeah, had my catheter put in, was laid down on the bed, and actually what they do with the bed is they rotate it. So if you're laid down flat here, they rotate it that way for a minute or something, and then they rotate it for the other side for a minute. And I'm guessing that it's just like getting all the spinal in your back and getting everything moving and going so that you can actually go through and have your baby. So yeah, Tom was sat with me during that. He was just sat on a little chair, and then I was on the bed, so he was literally within like arm's reach. It's really funny as well because when we were in the waiting bay, I said to Tom, "Oh my goodness, I could just eat Maltesers. Like I could just eat a bag of them so bad." And then when I was having my spinal, they put a pillow on your chest and tell you to put your chin on the pillow and just relax. Like you have to relax your shoulders and everything and just let your body go. And she said to me, "Imagine if you're trying to catch a Malteser on the pillow." I was like, I could actually just eat Maltesers right now. So that was quite funny. So yeah, I had my spinal, everything looked fine, everything was really, really calm. Went into the theatre room, and all the nurses and the surgeons were all talking to me, asking me if it's my first, asking me if I knew the gender, which we did, of course it was a boy. And yeah, the midwife was like, you know, sometimes people feel like it's like a bit of a washing machine when they're like tugging and pulling and everything. So yeah, so I laid there, me and Tom were finally having our moment of watching one of our children coming into the world, which was amazing. And Tom was just buzzing, like he was just so full of life and excited, and I could see it, which was lovely. And I just burst into like this sobbing, the ugly cry that you get, because I was finally going to have my dream of watching one of my children being born. Like, I have always wanted to have a natural birth, but with the size that he is, I just wasn't able to do it. He would have got stuck, and I would have ended up in theatre anyway. And Aoife's delivery was so traumatic, I just said to Tom, let's just cut all of that out. And let's just go for a section, have it nice and calm. Look, we're both there when he's born. His safety is a main priority. And actually looking back, I'm really glad that we have made that decision, because it was really calm and it was a positive birth experience. And we were there, I was sobbing, I was crying, so excited to meet this little man that had been with me for 9 months, and finally I was get to see him, get to hold him and see what it looks like. And yeah, and then the surgeon lady, she just said, he's here. And I was like, I didn't even know that you started. I couldn't feel anything. I didn't feel no pulling, I didn't feel no tugging, I didn't feel a thing. I didn't even know that they started. And there he just popped up over the screen, but I couldn't see him. All I could see was like the tops of his hands, and I was like trying to raise my head up off my pillow, and I was like, please show him to me. But then the midwife, she had allowed Tom to bring his phone in, and he was taking loads of pictures, and he actually videoed like the first few moments of his life. So the midwife took him over, weighed him, put a nappy on him, wrapped him in towels, gave him a hat, and then brought him over to me. And that was so special, really, really special. And I'll never forget it. It was lovely. Tom got the video of me meeting him for the first time, which was amazing. I actually didn't know that he had videoed that until a week or so later, because obviously having a newborn, it's a crazy time. But yeah, it was lovely, and I got to hold him and have a little bit of skin to skin with him actually in the theatre room, which of course I had missed with Aoife. I didn't get to hold Aoife for a couple of, maybe like half a day later or something, and even then it was, I can't really remember it. I was on morphine, so high as a kite. But yeah, that was lovely. And then we actually went back into the same bay that we were when we were waiting, just on the other side, and we were given some lunch. Got to spend some lovely like family time together. The midwife kept popping in and out, checking that everything was okay, checking my temperature, my blood pressure, everything like that. I would say that it is extremely weird, like not having any feeling. It is bizarre. And they were like moving my legs like from one bed to the other, and it's just like looking at someone else's legs. Like it doesn't even feel like it's yours. Like even though you're looking at them and you know that they're your legs, it is bizarre. It's totally bizarre. But yeah, we had some lovely time. So he was born on the 4th of June 2020 at 2:32 p.m. and Tom was able to stay with us until I moved onto the recovery ward. I think we went onto the recovery ward at about 6:15 in the evening. So yeah, we got a couple of hours together, and of course we've been with each other in the morning, but the most important thing for us was that we were all together and present for when Ezra was born, and we got that, and it's something that I will never ever forget. And if we do have any more children, I'll never take that for granted. Like missing Aoife's birth was horrible, and I actually didn't know that that was something that was possible. Like I didn't know that you could like physically miss your own child being born. But yes, people are put to sleep to have a baby and to deliver their baby safely. But it is in the best interest of everybody. Like me and Aoife possibly could have died, if that hadn't have been happened. And I'm so grateful for all the staff there that day that whisked me down within like 10 seconds and allowed Aoife to be born safely. So yeah, that was a lot of information. So I'll just try and wrap this up real quickly. So yeah, on the recovery ward, the night actually went really well. I was in the same bay as when I had Aoife, which was weird. I was only in the recovery ward for one night. So as I say, we were there from about 6:15, and my catheter came out the following morning at about 10:30. I was then able to walk. I did have to walk, go to the toilet and have a wee. I had to pass, I think it was 200 millilitres. Until I could pass 200 millilitres of wee, I was then able to go home. And this was a worry for me because I couldn't actually pass any wee when I had Aoife. So I was worried going to the toilet once I had Ezra, but actually I managed to pass 500 milliliters, if you're wondering. So it's really cool, and I've never been so happy to have a wee. And then I think we left the hospital and was allowed to go home at about 2:30. So actually, what, 24 hours after he was born, I was allowed home. Tom was obviously not allowed in or on the recovery ward. It was only for the ladies that had had their babies. So the ward was one lady, an empty bed. One lady, an empty bed. So yeah, and the midwives were amazing. They all wore PPE and everything like that. And when Tom came to pick us up, he was allowed at the doors, and that was it. So when he came, he handed the car seat to one of the midwives. Midwives came, helped me change Ezra's nappy, get him dressed, put him in the car seat, pick up my suitcase, because you're not allowed to pick anything up or do anything like that when you've had a section, because obviously you're brand new, you're healing, and it can cause it like a lot of problems. So yeah, and then obviously met Tom at the door, and that was a moment as well, because we had missed him and he just had a baby and then had to go home. So yeah, that was really sad, but we were all reunited together and it was lovely. So yeah, came home. I will go into a little bit about the section recovery because this is my second section. First one was an emergency. I was in hospital for a good couple of days, had a lot of bed rest and medicines from the midwives. But this time with my second section, all I was given, or all I was told to have, is paracetamol and ibuprofen. And oh my goodness, it is the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I thought that Aoife's birth was horrific and that nothing could be as worse, because I was on morphine and I just felt groggy. I lost my voice from the actual operation, like my eyes are rolling everywhere. But actually the pain with this section was so bad, like just horrendous, constant pain all the time. So much so that I'm not even sure if I can do it again. So yeah, in a couple of years maybe, but right now, It did take me a good, I'd say it took me a good week or maybe a week and a half for the pain to subside. I took paracetamol and ibuprofen alternatively every 2 hours for a full week, which is a lot of tablets. The pain was probably worse in the morning because I've actually lost all the muscles in my stomach. So it's like a big sandbag, if you can imagine, like a sandbag that's laid out flat, and then if you lift it up one edge, it all just kind of like tumbles to the bottom and creates like this big lump. Well, that's how I felt getting up in the morning, and it would make me breathless. I just couldn't breathe right. And also the pain was so bad in the morning that I couldn't walk again. Actually walking was really difficult for me in the early days. So I would shuffle my feet like this, like do my heel, then move my toes, then move my heel, then move my toes. And that's how I would be until my tablets kicked in. So yeah, that is Ezra's birth story. I hope that it's a really positive one for you. If you are due a baby during lockdown, especially in England, because I live in England, I had a really positive experience during lockdown. Everyone already wore masks in the theatre anyway. It's just the midwives and everybody on the wards that had masks and the PPE. I actually thought that it was going to ruin like my experience, and that I would just like always remember everybody that wore masks and everything like that. But actually you just look completely past it, and we didn't have to wear masks on the ward. I didn't have to wear masks on the recovery ward or walking around the hospital. The only time that we had to wear a mask was walking down, after we walked down the corridor before we went into the room for the spinal. The midwife handed us both a mask, so we wore a mask from then, during the spinal, during the actual delivery of Ezra with the section, and then when we were moved to the the recovery bay, where me and Tom had lunch and had family time, we didn't wear our masks. We could take them off. And yeah, that was it. So we could have worn them more if we wanted to. Like, it wasn't a compulsory thing. Nobody said that we should bring a mask to the hospital. Nobody mentioned them to us in the hospital. So yeah, it was fine. And actually, the videos and the pictures that we have of Ezra's first moments of life, and obviously our first family pictures in the theatre room, we were wearing masks, but actually it really doesn't matter like I thought it really would. But actually it just makes it even more special that he was born during a lockdown and that we did have to wear masks, and we wore masks and everybody wore masks to keep him and everybody else safe. So actually it's completely fine. And I'm really glad that I feel that way about the masks as well, because obviously I didn't want them to ruin Ezra's first few moments or first few hours of his life, and the memories that we've made. Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap that up here. I think I've talked way longer than I thought I was going to, but thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a like and subscribe if you would like this sort of content. I'm going to be doing postpartum videos, newborn update, everything like that, and just continue on our journey as parents of two. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.